Well, a very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Lloyd with the Saturday, September 9th edition of the CBC Evening News and our top story. At least 23 people are now known to have died in the Caribbean as a result of Hurricane Irma. The first victim was a 2-year-old child on the island of Barbuda. 11 people died on the French islands of St. Martin and St. Barts, 2 in Dutch St. Martin, 4 in the U.S. Virgin Islands, 3 in Puerto Rico, and 1 in Anguilla. And a teenage surfer died off Barbados in waves churned up by Irma, and 4 deaths were reported on the British Virgin Islands, which are yet to be confirmed. Well, Barbuda suffered unimaginable damage during the passage of Irma, and the evacuation of hundreds of Barbudans to Antigua has been done with the help of a number of private players. A CBC team of news editor Sean Farrell and photographer Ronaldo Sargent tells us the story of one businessman who volunteered his services.
After hearing reports about the damage inflicted by Hurricane Irma, as well as the threat posed by Jose, this craft operator decided he had to help.
We got together with our shareholders and back in the UK, and they gave us a green light and said, listen, whatever we have to do, let's go and assist. It was heartbreaking to see the situation in Barbuda. As fishermen, we used to fish in Barbuda waters and Antigua, for the last 10 years. So it's amazing to see the devastation that we have seen so far.
Wilmer Duran says, while it is an expensive undertaking, government has been helping to subsidize the trips.
It's 900 horsepower. We burn about 100 gallons to go and come back to Barbuda. We have fueled up the boat, and we said as many trips as we can do with our fuel and our oil. And the Port Authority, through the government, they called me up last night and said, listen, you make the first few trips, we will continue to assist you with the rest of the fuel throughout the day. So it was a joint operation between Port Authority and the government of Antigua. And also, from us, just the boat doesn't need just gas. We have 2 crew. Denny has been by my side assisting me, and here we are, whatever it takes.
Tell me about your business, though. Exactly what you do.
The Thriller Boat tours, we have charter tours, usually mostly to different resorts around the island. They see the product and they love the fact that it's not a scheduled charter boat. It is a private charter, so we take guests from all around the island to Barbuda, to Montserrat. We were just in Montserrat a few days ago, taking some guests over. So we're just helping the whole economy and the whole, working in the tourism.
Systems like Hurricane Irma would affect your business.
Every guest, every group, they're all keen to, to go into Barbuda all the time. So they charter us and they say, listen, I want to go there. I want to sit on the beach in the pink sand, 70 miles of beach, unobstructed sand. It's just a beautiful place. And yes, it will affect our operations and the way how we run the company. Now that we have one less port of call to go into, so it will definitely affect.
But it shows that you still have that humanitarian presence to help.
Of course, we always will. Barbudans are just as Antiguans, our family, our friends, and in times of need, everyone came together, and it is what you do, in times of crisis and chaos.
The private craft operator was among a number of other individuals as well as agencies helping with the monetary evacuation of hundreds of people from Barbuda to Antigua. He also helped transport a number of pets. Barbudans have been reluctant to evacuate because they do not want to leave their animals behind. In the circumstances, however, they've had no choice. Reporting from St. John's, Antigua, I'm Sean Farrell for the CBC News.
And a rebuilding plan is in the works for hurricane-ravaged Barbuda. Antigua and Barbuda's Tourism Minister Asot Michael has been speaking about some of the efforts so far. Now, about 90% of the island's infrastructure has been destroyed by the powerful system. Mr. Michael says assistance has been coming from Venezuela, Canada, CARICOM, along with institutions and agencies. He says the entire island of Barbuda must be rebuilt.
Prime Minister Brown have already arranged a temporary overdraft facility from each of the indigenous banks of 5 million EC, of 4 indigenous banks at 20 million. We've already set up a special Barbuda Hurricane Relief Fund, and people are donating. We got Mr. Martin Franklin, he volunteered, and he have already put $1 million US into the account. The Global Bank of Commerce, Ambassador Brian Stout Young have donated 200,000 US, and aid is flowing in, and the government is going to match and make sure that we get the necessary financial resources to rebuild Barbuda. I mean, I do not know as yet, we have not seen the report from NODS to the exact estimate of the damage and what it will cost, but just preliminary looking around, I would estimate it at least 100 to 150 million United States dollars.
And the BC Bird International Airport, which was to be closed until tomorrow, reopened at midday after officials gave the all clear. Now, there is an old saying that Barbadians and by extension Caribbean nationals resort to repeating whenever their country is spared the worst during the hurricane season. But Executive Director of the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, SEDEMA, Ronald Jackson, doesn't agree with the adage that God is a citizen of that respective country. Mr. Jackson says that residents must be very careful of complacency as things are very different these days.
It's part of who we are in the Caribbean. So it's part of our identity. So we have to prepare for it and ensure that we're able to navigate it when it comes, but not to be nonchalant, to think that we're going to always be safe. There is always our turn when it comes on to these, as Barbadians would have seen back in the day.
And as Barbados and the world continues to grapple with the effects of climate change, one government minister believes the island needs to reduce the number of fossil fuel vehicles being imported. Commerce Minister Donville Innes says the annual figures are way too high. Instead, he is suggesting that more people should capitalize on the incentives provided by government to import electric vehicles.
In 2015, we imported some 3,093 vehicles into this island. Used and new vehicles. By 2016, when people said things had gotten worse in the economy, we imported 3,951 vehicles into Barbados. And between January and July of this year, we've imported some 2,070 vehicles into Barbados.
Barbados is another step closer to becoming a greener country. This as the Small Business Association launched its solar transportation project, Solar Express, which is aimed at increasing awareness of sustainable transport in the city of Bridgetown. During the project, the association CEO Lynette Holder says 2 solar-powered shuttles will be used for tours of the city.
And these tours will be offered to commuters, visitors, locals alike. Some of you, at the end of our presentation in the ensuing week, will be contacted to come and participate in a series of pilot tours that we will be having right here in Bridgetown. Another project objective is to educate at least 100 businesses in Bridgetown on the UN Global Compact program and to encourage them to engage in innovations that will make their businesses sustainable.
And the United Nations Development Programme Global Environmental Facility Small Grants was a partial source of funding for the project. The Associate Program Officer believes it's timely given climate change.
We currently have about 57 projects under the GEF Small Grants Program here in Barbados, and we also have projects across the OECS in 7 different countries. We have seen examples of this lovely initiative in the Pacific, in Latin America, and in Asia, but this is the first sustainable transport project for the GEF Small Grants Program in Barbados, and it's the leading project of its kind in the Caribbean. This solar transport project is in line with the national determined contributions under our COP21 agreement. The Solar Express exemplifies the continued transformation of Barbados towards a green economy.
And stay with us. We'll have more news right after the break.
There's a hero if you look inside your heart. You don't have to be afraid of what you are. And there's an end.
Thank you so much for helping us to make a difference in the lives of so many people here in the Caribbean.
Thank you so much.
So from all of us here in the Caribbean, we'd like to say a big
Community Files.
The Ministry of Agriculture, Food, Fisheries and Water Resource Management invites all primary and secondary school students to enter its Grow Well, Eat Well, Live Well school gardening and picture board competition. Application forms and guidelines may be downloaded from the Ministry's website www.agriculture.gov.bb. Completed forms must be submitted to Winnell Savory of the Ministry's Planning and Communications Unit at gellifebarbados@gmail.com or faxed at 535-5257 by September 22nd. For further details, please call the unit at 535-5138 or 535-5142.
The Ministry of Education says 3 more schools will not be ready for the start of the new school year on Monday. The schools, which were a part of the ministry's domestic summer program, are still under renovation. Bay Primary will now reopen on Wednesday, September 13th, while St. Lawrence Primary and Thelma Berry Nursery will both reopen on Tuesday, September 12th. Now, new students of the Wesley Hall Infant School will now begin classes on Monday, September 18th, and all other students of that institution will begin classes on Tuesday, September 19th. All other schools, both primary and secondary, will start the academic year on Monday. The Ministry of Education regrets any inconvenience which may be caused by this delay. It appears police investigations following the discovery of the body of a white male in St. George a week ago could end soon. CBC News understands that persons of interest were detained and others reportedly questioned. A bulletin for missing British national Stephen Ware, who was staying at Newcastle Plantation House, St. John, was issued a few days before, and Mr. Ware was last seen near University Drive on August 23rd. No positive identification has yet been made on the body. And as they continue their search for wanted man Ramel Daniel, police are telling Barbadians that anyone found harboring or assisting wanted persons could themselves be arrested and charged. Daniel is considered armed and dangerous, and police have been looking for him in relation to serious criminal matters. The 35-year-old goes by the aliases Ras, Map, Swagger and Spragger Benz. Daniel's last known address is Erie Court in St. Thomas. And sports is just ahead with Anne-Marie Burke. Stay with us.